Hey, this is Matt, and on this post, I'm going to talk about my second psychotic episode, which happened in spring of 1995. And it's going to be on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I think the YouTube is easier to keep track of the other ones because it's not buried in the other posts. So on my Instagram, I'm gonna give my YouTube handle too. And basically just to recap the last one, my first episode was in summer of 1994, and I mentioned that in July 94, I had my episode, and by the time I got to my senior year of high school in September, I went from weighing 135 to 200, and I kind of recovered quickly. I don't know how much I was skating, to be honest. I don't really remember if I was skating much during that time, but I did start running because my older sister was really into running, and I went on the track team in I guess February, March. So actually I lost some of the weight I gained, and I also mentioned in the previous episode how with my school, the part of the winterim, it's like a month in January where people do work studies. Other people are going to Spain, and in fall of '94, my school actually had a Habitat for Humanity thing where we helped build a house, and they just saw how I was kind of, just kind of lethargic and not really working that hard. So they didn't let me go to Spain for my high school senior trip. Because they just thought I wasn't physically or mentally able to do that. But my parents thought to kind of make up for that, we decided to go to Cancun for spring break. My older sister and my parents went, and I seem to be doing well. And I don't know if I completely stopped my meds or if they were tapered off, but again, when you have your first episode and there's drugs involved, they really don't know if it's a one-time thing or a permanent mental illness. So I was doing fine, except for I started having symptoms in the airport. It was like I guess it was an overnight flight from Detroit to Cancun, and my mom later said she could tell something was wrong because my eyes were just bloodshot or didn't look the same. So I'll try to just describe that thing. And it was kind of like a bad trip. I never did acid or mushrooms, but some of the things were probably similar to that. On the airplane, I didn't sit with my parents. I sat somewhere else, and we had for high school, I had an assignment to read a Louis L'Amour book. It wasn't his usual cowboy books. It was kind of a book about Middle Ages or something. It was just a historical fiction book. But anyways, when we were exiting the plane, the guy next to me was like, that must be a difficult book to read. I'm like, why? Because he said I literally stared at the first page for the whole plane ride, like without really doing anything else. I just looked at the first page of a book for like an 8-hour plane ride. And when we got there, we went on a bus to get to our destination, and that was right in the middle of the baseball strike, Major League Baseball. And then people noticed that there were a lot of people playing on baseball fields down there, so that was the topic on the bus. And the bus, they kind of gave out beers and stuff, and I remember I noticed one was waiting for the restroom and like almost crying because she needed to go, and then the person before was taking too long time. And I guess I'll just mention a few things about the trip. We did go to Chichen Itza, which is the pyramids there, and that was just, I was just, I just sort of lost my thoughts. I don't really remember the delusions I had, but I did have them, and the setting was just kind of heightened that. I remember on the bus to Chichen Itza, they were like, you know, there will be lots of children asking for donations and money. Like, don't give it to them because it's, you know, some of the situations are bad. They're forced to pedal for change and stuff from tourists. And yeah, I remember seeing at a table and all these little kids were like surrounding us, and like, you know, everyone looked kind of awkward at that. But actually, the thing about Chichen Itza, like, it's maybe like 150 feet in the air, and it's like really steep steps, and you walk up it, and you know, it's steep enough that I think it's probably dangerous for some people. But we walked up, and I remember just looking down there, like thinking all sorts of, I don't exactly remember what my thoughts were, but they were not clear, and they were kind of a little bit manic, I guess. Just kind of thinking, yeah, maybe I was a god on top of a pyramid. And we walked down, and that was pretty much it. The other things I remember with running, I remember running on Cancun. They had a nice little sidewalk I was running with my sister, and like these sort of muscle-bound guys were running really slow. I was like, why would you run that slow if you don't have to? But I guess it's, you know, it just seemed it's very picturesque. Like, we went on a boat ride, and I got really sunburned. I forgot to put sunblock on my legs, and I got really sunburned on that. And yeah, and one night we went to my sister went to a club and dancing, and we got back. And the other thing I remember actually in Cancun was we were at a restaurant, I think, where we were staying in our lounge, and I was getting drinks, and I got lost on the way back. But I think my sister, my parents found me. And then when we got back, the recovery was much longer than the first one. I had to go to a kind of a day intake thing for adolescents, because I was still 17. And so I didn't go back to school. I went to this day intake thing that lasted a day, and I was able to stay home with my parents after that. But I gained the weight back. So this must have been April, May, and June that I did the intake. Before the trip to Cancun, the spring break, I did write my senior paper on schizophrenia, so I got that big thing checked off of my requirements. I think because I finished that before that, I was able to graduate. They let me, and I still kind of wonder to this day if I went to a public school and just kind of invisible, and I don't know if I would have been able to graduate with not going to the last 2 months of school. But yeah, and I was still kind of sick and recovering, and actually I did take an IQ test at the day intake center to see if I should go to college. 'Cause I was thinking, like, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should just try to work part-time, or try to get back skating or doing other things instead of college. But I don't remember what the IQ was, but it was high enough where they said that I would be capable of going to college, and I should go to college. And that's about it. But I guess I'll just continue into fall of '95 when I started college. I wasn't really ready to live on my own, but I went to University of Toledo, which is right the local college, but I lived in the dorms, and I met a few skaters there and other people, and just kind of partied a little too much. I just wasn't ready, and I think a lot of those people I met, they flunked out after that first semester, and I even I even failed the introduction class, or it's sort of like the introduction to college class. I didn't set up the email properly. So, but then after that, I did retake some of the classes I failed, and I moved back home since it was just a 10-minute drive away, and I seemed to get better for a while. And I guess looking back, what I would do differently is, maybe just try to maybe stay on the meds a little bit longer instead, because you think like July 94 to March 95, that's less than a year. So I was thinking if it happened today, I would think that they'd probably be on the meds a little bit longer. But I seem to really do well after I moved back to my parents' house and it was just a commuter student. And the next episode was in fall of 1997. So I guess that's 2 years later. So that'll be my next one. And then after that, the third episode was 97. The fourth and last, hopefully, episode was 2016. So with these talks, the 2016 one was the most severe one and lasted 3 months. And that one I may break up into little sections to talk about various things. And I think that, I think this does help to talk it out, and it's a lot easier than trying to write it out. But all right, thank you. Take care.